In mid-October 2006, I was contacted by an attorney in Rockland, a criminal defense attorney who I know socially. And he asked me to come in and meet with a few people at WRFR, the Rockland Community Radio Station, to discuss a situation that had begun to evolve. Beth Berry was at that meeting, as was this attorney, and Ron Huber, who's a hosts a radio show on the station. Apparently, Deane Brown had, for many months, been featured on this radio show and had eventually given some information to Ron Huber, the host, which he posted on his website and discussed on the air. This was not, in fact, confidential information, despite what the DOC says. This is when the DOC got very upset about Deane corresponding with the media. He had been, for a year, a source for Lance Tapley, and nothing had been done. But finally, when there was hard and solid information about the issues at the prison, about food being served that was 3 years old, about the hardships that were placed on prisoners, about the terrible sort of authoritarian behavior by certain guards. It's only when this information came out, essentially came out of the mouth of one of the guards, that they became upset and cut off Deane from speaking, not just to the media, but essentially to anyone. Filed a Freedom of Access request on, I believe it was November 10th. And all of a sudden, Deane was gone after that. And once he was safe and sound down in Maryland, I received a phone call from the Assistant Attorney General who works for the Department of Corrections, and she said, "Oh, well, your client's been transferred." And I said, "Okay, give me the phone number down there," which she did. But of course, they don't have phones there. So I never have spoken to Deane Brown. I've never been permitted to call him. I have written to him. My letters, I do not come back, so I believe they get through, and I get letters from him. I should mention one thing about the transport. He went down, I believe, November 13th. His medical file was not received by Maryland until November 21st. So he arrived down there with myriad medical conditions, and no one knew. And and Warren and our Maine correctional system knew about this because they sent a nurse along on transport. Why they couldn't have sent the medical file with the nurse and handed it to the prison is beyond me, but they didn't. So he was not receiving insulin, he was not receiving his meds. They couldn't, whatever he said down in Maryland, they're not permitted by law to give him any medication until they see the medical records. So that was held back for 8 days, which I think was a willful, neglectful, negligent act on their part.